What is the study of living things? Study of living things. Biology. What is the study of the structure and physical relationship of things? Anatomy. What is the study of the function of organs and stuff? Physiology. Okay. What is the study of individual cells?
Histology.
That's cytology. Histology is a study of multiple layers of cells or tissues.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is the study of bones? Osteology. Okay. What's the level of organization of all biological systems? Atom, molecule,
Cells,
organelle, cell, tissue, organ system, organism. Yep. Okay, what's the largest visceral organ system? Organ.
Skin.
Largest visceral organ.
yeah, this.
Visceral.
Oh, this one.
That is the largest parietal organ. Yeah, okay, you can't record because that's not fair to others. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, largest parietal system is the skin or the integument. The largest visceral, because remember, visceral is inner, that is the liver. Okay, what's the major function of the integument? Border protection and so on. Major function of the skeletal system. Support, mineral storage. Major function of the cardiovascular system. Circulation, blood has to stay in constant motion. Major function of the digestive system.
To break down.
Nutrient absorption. Major function of the respiratory system.
To
Breathe.
But what does that do?
Provide.
Yeah, oxygen or gas exchange. And how is that gas exchanged? Right, by what mechanism? Diffusion, simple diffusion. What are some organs of the nervous system?
Sub-organs?
No, organs of the nervous system.
Oh.
Brain and spinal cord. Organs of the digestive system. Just some examples. Yeah. Organs of the urinary system. Kidney, bladder. Okay. What are the two membranes that surround the lungs? Visceral and parietal pleura. What are the two membranes that surround the heart? Yes. Okay, most anatomical terms come from which languages? Latin and Greek. What's the anatomical position?
Upright, palms forward.
Yes, upright palms forward. Okay, what are the major subdivisions of the body cavities?
What did you say?
Major subdivisions of the body cavities.
Thoracic cavity.
Okay, first subdivision is dorsal and ventral. Dorsal would be the cranial and the spinal cavity. Ventral is the thoracic, abdominal, and pelvic cavity. And what separates the thoracic from the abdominal body cavity? The diaphragm. Okay, you remember anatomical opposites, anterior, posterior, medial, lateral. Okay. What surrounds the cell membrane?
That's the wall, sorry.
That was a stupid question. What surrounds a cell? The cell membrane.
Wait, what?
Yeah. What are two organelles that have a double membrane in the cell? Nucleus and mitochondria. What are the phases of mitosis?
Metaphase.
In order. Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase.
Do we need to know interphase or no?
No. Remember, the 4 stages of mitosis are prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. And you don't need to know what happens in those. You just need to know the sequence. Okay, tissues. What makes up tissues?
Cells?
Cells. And how many major tissue groups are there? 4. What are those 4 major tissue types? Epithelial, connective, muscle and nervous tissue.
Wait, skeletal? What type of?
Skeletal falls into the group of connective tissue.
Yeah. Okay.
So most of the tissues we looked at in more detail fell into which group or major tissue type? It's all connective. Lymph, blood, bone, cartilage, adipose tissue are all specific examples of connective tissue types. Okay?
So what is epithelial tissue?
That's a major tissue type. Yeah, the 4 major tissue types, all the specific tissues fall into 4 groups. And the 4 major groups are epithelial, connective, muscle, and nervous tissue. What are the 3 types of muscle tissue? Smooth, cardiac, and skeletal. Which one is controlled by the somatic division of the nervous system? Yes, skeletal muscle. What forms membranes? Combination of epithelial and connective tissue. What are examples of membranes? Mucus. Yep.
What was the question?
What's one specific characteristic of nervous tissue? Nervous tissue. What are specific characteristics of nervous tissue? They can carry information, and also what can they no longer do? Which yeah, they can't regenerate either. Anybody know why that is? Okay, neurons, as they mature, they lose the organelle that pulls the chromatids apart during mitosis. What is that organelle called? The centriole. The centrioles. Neurons use centrioles, that's why they can no longer divide. Okay, blood, sweat, milk, oil, and so on are all what type of secretions? Exocrine. Why is exocrine called exocrine?
Because it leaves the body through a duct.
Yep, goes up a duct. Okay, hormones are secreted where? Into the blood, and hormones are what type of secretions? Endocrine. How many types of bone cells do we have? Osteocyte, osteoblast, osteoclast, and the bone stem cell, osteoprogenitor cell.
Oh, isn't osteon just the...
Osteon is a functional unit of bone. So that's on here too. Functional unit of bone is the osteon. What are 2 types of bone tissue? Two types of bone. Yes, spongy and compact. How many types of cartilage? 3 types of cartilage: fibrocartilage, hyaline cartilage, and elastic cartilage. Okay, what are the three membranes of muscles and nerves?
Endomysium?
Yeah, endomysium or endoneurium, period, epi.
Period. Oh.
Yeah. What are the two membranes in bone? Two membranes in bone.
The two membranes in bone. I think not. Yeah.
Endosteum and periosteum. Okay, what are the divisions of the skeletal system? Appendicular and
It's axial.
axial. What are the bones of the axial division? Skull, spinal cord, thoracic cavity. Bones of the appendicular division. Two girdles and then the arm and leg bones. What makes up the two girdles?
The pelvic girdle and the
Yeah, what bones make up the pectoral girdle?
pectoral girdle is the scapula.
And no, the girdle. Where's the humerus?
It's the scapula.
It's not a girdle bone, son. That's an arm bone.
And is it the
Two bones for the pectoral girdle. Clavicle and
Sternum?
the
scapula?
scapula. Yes, clavicle and scapula. And one bone each for the pelvic girdle.
The ilium tissue and the
Pubis, and they together make up one bone, which is called the os coxa. What kind of joint is the shoulder and the hip joint? Ball and socket joint. What's the name of the ball and what's the name of the socket for the shoulder?
You have your glenoid cavity, and then
Head of the humerus. Very good. And for the hip?
for the hip you have your old cramp. Oh wait, no.
It doesn't go in that hole. It goes in a socket.
It's let's see, no, it's eight.
The acetabulum
Yeah.
and the ball is the head of the femur. Okay, joints can be classified by structure or function. Okay, a joint that permits movement along two axes is called what type of joint? A biaxial joint. If it only moves in one direction, monoaxial, and in all directions, multiaxial. Okay, everybody got the layers for a nerve and a muscle? Okay. Of all the muscle tissues, which one is voluntary? Which muscle is under voluntary control? Now, which muscle is under voluntary control? That means you can make a conscious decision to move that muscle. It's only skeletal muscle. What's a muscle stem cell? Put the ending for an immature cell together with the prefix for muscle. It's easier when you see a myoblast. Yes, that's it, a myoblast.
Like when you see him, we'll be like,
Out of the three types of muscle tissue, which one is multinucleate and why? No.
it's this smooth.
Multinucleate and why? Skeletal muscle is multinucleate. Why? For smaller muscle cells, they all fuse together to make these long cylindrical fibers, and when they fuse together to make these long cells, they keep their individual nuclei. Only skeletal muscle is multinucleate. Cardiac muscle and smooth muscle both only have a single nucleus each. But cardiac muscle cells are branched and have intercalated discs, and smooth muscle cells have no striations. What's the functional unit of bone? Yeah, what's the functional unit of muscle?
Muscle is the
That's part of it, but it combines to make a functional unit. Come on, functional unit of muscle.
Isn't there four?
Now repeating units of sarcomere, the sarcomere. And the sarcomeres make up which structure inside a muscle cell? No, not yet. They make up the myofibril, and the sarcomere is made up of myofilaments. And then the muscle cells, they bundle up to form a fascicle, and a fascicle is surrounded by which membrane? The mesosome. What's the model called that explains the function of the cell membrane? What's the theory called that explains the function of the cell membrane?
mosaic.
Yes, the fluid mosaic model. What is the name of the theory that explains muscle function?
The pervasion.
That's in both. The sliding filament theory.
What was it? Sliding filament theory.
Sliding filament theory. Those you see again in physiology too. And then we had the other functional unit we have. What's the functional unit of the liver?
Nephron.
No. That's the functional unit of the kidney. Now that's the cells of the liver. Functional unit of the liver is the liver lobule. And functional unit of the kidney is the nephron. Okay, what are some components of a neuron? Axon, axon, hillock, dendrite, soma, and so on. How are neurons classified?
Signal.
By structure and by function. What is the structural classification of neurons? Yeah, unipolar, bipolar, and multipolar. And functional classification of neurons, there are 3 types. Functional classification of neurons. One goes up, one is just in the CNS, and the other one comes down.
Afferent and efferent.
Yes, but what are they called? An afferent neuron is what type of neuron? Sends information up. It's a sensory neuron. Okay, the neuron that's efferent is coming back down. That's a motor neuron. And the one that connects those two inside the spinal cord is called a interneuron. Where does the neuron make a decision whether to send or not to send an action potential? A neuron, where does the neuron make the decision?
In the synapse.
Where does the neuron? The axon hillock. Yep. Okay, so sensory neurons have their synapses where? Yes, in the CNS. Motor neurons have their synapses where? Outside of the CNS on skeletal muscle. Where else? Okay. And what do all those motor neurons release? Which neurotransmitter? Yes, ACH or acetylcholine. What can speed up the signaling or the action potential? Yes, myelination. If you have myelination, the signal can travel down the neuron faster because it can do this. And what is that called? If you have the term, it's easier, but I want you to think about it. It jumps from where to where? Now it jumps from node of Grenier to node of Grenier. And what is that jumping called?
No different, he just said it.
No, the node inferior is where it's bare, but.
Yeah, but then the jumping is called saltatory conduction, because the signal is jumping.
How you said saltatory?
Saltatory conduction, like making saltos. What are the three membranes that surround the brain and the spinal cord?
Dura mater.
Dura mater,
Oh,
Pia mater.
arachnoid mater, and pia mater. Okay, the brain has how many halves? That was a stupid question. But what are the halves called? Cerebral hemispheres, and they are separated by what? The longitudinal fissure, and internally connected by
corpus callosum.
yes, corpus callosum. What makes cerebral spinal fluid? What makes cerebral spinal fluid? The choroid plexus.
Oh my God.
And where is that found? Where's the choroid plexus located?
Inside.
Inside the ventricles. How many ventricles are there? 4. What are their names?
We have the third, fourth ventricle.
Third and fourth, and 2 lateral ventricles. Okay, so outside of the brain smooth or not? No, it's made up of what? Outside of the brain. Gyri and sulci. Yep. What are the elevations and what are the indentations? Gyri are the elevations, sulci are the indentations. How many lobes does the brain have? Which ones are the 4 external lobes? Frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal. And what is the one underneath?
The insula?
Yes, the insula. Okay, what are the 2 anatomical structures, anterior and posterior to the central sulcus? Anatomical structures, anterior and posterior to the central sulcus.
Parietal. Or wait, the frontal?
Yes. Precentral gyrus and postcentral gyrus, and what are those 2 areas functionally? Primary motor cortex and primary somatosensory cortex. Okay, everybody knows a little nervous system tree. CNS, CNS is brain and spinal cord. CNS is somatic, and the ANS. What does the somatic division control? Skeletal muscle. The ANS has 2 subdivisions. Sympathetic and parasympathetic. The sympathetic division arises where along the spinal cord? The sympathetic division arises in which sections along the spinal cord?
The thoracolumbar.
Thoracolumbar. And the parasympathetic division arises where along the spinal cord?
It's in the pulmonar cerebral.
Craniosacral,
Yeah,
top
there you
and
go.
bottom. What are general senses?
Ones that take place outside the brain, so not your sensory ones.
No. General senses, they have their sense receptors all over. Their temperature, pressure, pain, proprioception, and so on.
Yeah, but didn't you say it's the ones that don't synapse in the brain?
No,
They're not
they
in
all
the
have to
brain.
synapse in the brain, otherwise you don't
They're
feel
not.
anything. The special senses, they are all located in the head and they use only the cranial nerves to send the information to the CNS. But the general senses, they use the spinal cord and thus the spinal nerves to send the information to the CNS. What are special senses? Vision, hearing, gustation, olfaction, and balance or equilibrium. Out of all the special senses, which one does not synapse in the thalamus first? Olfaction. Okay, how many anatomical sections does the ear have?
3.
3. What makes up the outer ear? Pinna, helix,
External acoustic meatus.
external acoustic canal or meatus, and it ends where? At the tympanic membrane. What makes up the middle ear?
The tympanic membrane and then gestation.
Starts behind the middle, the tympanic membrane is spanned by 3 tiny ear bones, the auditory ossicles, malleus, incus, and stapes, is air-filled and connects to the outside of the throat via the pharyngotympanic or auditory tube. What type of receptor cells do the organ of Corti, the maculae, and the crista all use? What type of receptor cells? Hair cells. Hair cells. They all use hair cells. What makes tears? Where's the lacrimal gland located?
On the superior lateral.
Yes, superior and lateral above the eye. What are the types of visual receptors in the eye called collectively?
Cones and rods.
Oh, your
Rods and
photoreceptors.
cones, and they are both photoreceptors. What type of tissue is blood? Connective tissue. What are the components of blood? Plasma and formed elements. What's plasma like?
Plasma's like water.
Yeah, and the formed elements of blood are
Are the
leukocytes, erythrocytes, and platelets. Of those, which are complete cells? Erythrocytes and leukocytes. Which ones are cell fragments? The platelets. What makes platelets?
The no, it's
Breakdown of megakaryocytes.
yes. I can't think of the word right now.
Okay, if you have a blood sample, what's on the bottom?
Erythrocytes.
Erythrocytes. What's the thin layer on top of the erythrocytes?
Leukocytes and platelets.
How much do they make up of a whole blood sample? Less than 1%. And what's the majority found on top?
Oh,
Plasma. What's autorhythmicity?
What?
Autorhythmicity. Autorhythmicity. That's for the heart. The heart has autorhythmicity because it is capable of continuous spontaneous contractions. And why can the heart muscle tissue work as a functional syncytium or as one functional unit?
Intercalated discs.
It has intercalated discs, and that's how they can communicate. How are the gases exchanged across the capillaries? Simple diffusion. Okay, if you the heart can be compared to what type of pump?
Motor.
A variable speed and volume pump, because we can adjust the speed at which this pumps and the volume. What are the three components of the CVS or cardiovascular system? Blood, heart, and blood vessels. And is that a closed system in humans? Yes. How many circuits does the heart pump into? What are those circuits called? Systemic and pulmonary circuit. What is the name for the muscle layer of the heart? Yes, the myocardium. How many valves in the heart?
4.
What's the main function of them?
To prevent backflow.
To prevent backflow of blood. And what are the valves called?
Tricuspid, bicuspid, coronary, semilunar, and
Aortic semilunar valve. What's the first or initial segment of the axon of a neuron called? The axon hillock. What does the choroid plexus do?
Makes
Yes,
cerebral
makes
fluid.
cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, everybody can trace blood through the heart?
yeah.
Okay. How does the heart muscle itself get fresh blood?
From the cardiac
Coronary arteries. And what drains the myocardium?
Oh, is that the cardiac vein?
What drains the myocardium? The coronary sinus.
Oh.
Yes. What are the smallest blood vessels called, across which the gas exchange takes place? Capillaries. What stays open when the precapillary sphincters constrict? It's a meta-arteriole and the thoroughfare channel. So you can shut down blood flow into a capillary bed, but the central line stays open to keep the blood in constant motion. Why does the blood have to stay in constant motion?
It's making it oxygen.
Because body cells need a constant supply of oxygen and nutrients. What is the smallest artery that feeds into a capillary bed? An arteriole. What is the smallest vein that comes out of a capillary, or that the capillary bed drains into? A venule. Okay, what's the key difference? Most of the time, except when it comes to the lungs, but what are some key difference, or what's the definition?
Elastic thingies that control the traction.
Yeah, the arteries are capable of vasoconstriction and vasodilation. They also carry blood where with relationship to the heart.
Away.
Away from the heart, veins always return blood to the heart. And with the exception of the lungs, arteries carry what type of blood? Oxygen-rich blood and high-pressured blood, and veins carry oxygen-low blood and blood under lower pressure. Okay, what is a digestive system or alimentary canal? Just a simple. It's a hollow tube from the mouth to the anus. And what do you find on the inside of the stomach? The rugae, which is the thick mucus layer, and there are also secretory cells in the stomach. They are found in what? In gastric pits. And the small intestine, the inside of the small intestine is largely increased by what?
The inside. The finger,
Yes, the finger-like
Okay, on
extensions
the
into
left-
the lumen.
on the left practical, what was those two? The
It was the intestinal villus and the lacteal.
Oh, I have no idea. what
Yeah,
those
so
were. I
inside
totally
the
forgot.
small intestine, the inside is greatly, the surface area is greatly increased by the presence of these intestinal villi. They make these finger-like extensions to the inside, and what's found inside each intestinal villus? A lacteal surrounded by
I'm
capillary.
gonna laugh at you, but I don't know. All I know is it increases surface area.
Gets,
I couldn't find that word.
What is absorbed into the lacteal?
Uh,
Lipids, large lipids or fats. What are the cells called that make up most of the liver tissue? Hepatocytes. What do they produce? Bile. And they also clean the blood. Okay, what covers the glottis during swallowing? The epiglottis. What does that prevent? Food from going down the wrong tube. What else happens to the air as it travels down to the lungs?
The oxygen like they
It gets cleaned, warmed and moistened. Okay, now the different sections of the upper and lower respiratory system and the functional subdivisions too. Okay, that's on there. Okay, a premature infant may lack what substance to make it difficult for it to breathe? Surfactant. Surfactant that's produced by cells inside the lungs to coat the alveoli. So the walls of the alveoli, when you exhale, don't stick together. What does the digestive system do?
breaks down food.
Takes food in, breaks it down, and absorbs usable parts and excretes undigestible sections. What are the layers of the GI tract? Mucosa, submucosa, muscularis, and serosa. Okay, is the esophagus, is that flexible or rigid? Flexible. Is it anterior or posterior to the trachea? What is the structure immediately superior to the esophagus, and what does the esophagus lead into?
It's the epiglottis. Or no, sorry, it's the lip.
Stomach.
The
So the
laryngopharynx.
yeah.
And then the esophagus leads into what? The
Stomach.
stomach. What's the entrance into the stomach called?
Gastroesophageal sphincter.
Cardiac sphincter.
Yeah, or cardiac sphincter or cardiac region. What's the exit from the stomach called? Pylorus, and that's guarded by a pyloric sphincter muscle. What's the process called by which the food that we swallow keeps moving through the digestive system?
Peristalsis.
Yes, peristalsis. What are the three glands, exocrine glands in the mouth called? Parotid, submandibular, and sublingual salivary glands. What are some of the mechanical processes that take place in the mouth to break down food?
Teeth.
Teeth,
Palate.
teeth, tongue, saliva. What are the smooth muscle layers of the stomach, or the muscle layers of the stomach? Yep. Which one is the muscle layer that's only found in the stomach but not in the rest of the GI tract? Oblique. Oblique is only found in the stomach. Okay, what increases the surface area inside the small intestine? Intestinal villi. Okay, now the sections of the small and the large intestine. Okay, what are the different sections of the large intestine? Cecum, ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, sigmoid
And the
colon.
appendix too, right?
That's a section that comes off the cecum, but it's not really part of the large intestine, it's attached to it. And what are the three sections of the small intestine? What's the name of the valve that connects from the small intestine to the large intestine? Ileocecal valve. What's the main function of the stomach? Breakdown and storage of food. What are functions of the urinary system? To get rid of waste. What is the main waste product that's excreted via the urinary system? Nitrogenous waste. Urea, uric acid, and creatinine. Okay, the urinary system interacts most closely with which other system?
Renal.
Correct. But that is the, well, the urinary system is part of the, or is the renal system, but what other system do they most closely interact with?
Digestive.
Nope. Cardiovascular system. It controls the fluid balance in the body. Okay, what is the anatomy of the kidney? Outside of the kidney is called the renal capsule. The two layers underneath it are called the
Renal
renal
cortex,
cortex
renal
and
medulla,
renal medulla. What makes up the renal medulla?
the pyramids,
Pyramids separated by
columns,
renal columns. Okay, what do we find inside the pyramids?
the nephrons,
Nephrons. All the nephrons drain eventually into collecting duct. All the collecting ducts drain into minor calyx, major calyx, and then the renal pelvis, and
into the
then into
ureter,
the urinary bladder, and then
through
out
the
the urethra. What triggers voiding or emptying of the bladder? What's the name of that reflex called? The micturition reflex. What is the name of the muscle that expels the contents of the bladder? It's a skeletal muscle. The detrusor muscle.
Wait, what did you just say?
The process that starts at the emptying of the bladder. First you get the signal that the bladder needs voiding or emptying. That's called the micturition reflex. And the last part of that is to actually or actively expel the contents of the bladder when convenient, and that's by activating the detrusor muscle. That actively empties the bladder. What's the functional unit of the kidney?
nephron,
Nephron. Okay, what are all the components of the nephron?
Bowman's capsule,
Yeah, there's a glomerulus in the Bowman's capsule, and then the pre-urine, yeah, travels down the proximal convoluted tubule, nephron loop, distal convoluted tubule into the collecting duct. Okay, what's the first area that receives complete final urine?
Renal pelvis?
Yes, the renal pelvis. Where do the kidneys get blood from?
The renal arteries.
Renal artery and renal vein, and those are branches of which major blood vessel?
Inferior vena cava.
Aorta, yes. Where do they get blood from? It drains out the renal vein into the inferior vena cava. But arteries supply, veins drain. That's it.
That's it. So there's not that many questions on this.